Hi, and welcome to the Reiki from the Farm podcast, brought to you by me, Pam Allen-LeBlanc from Hidden Brook Farm. I am a scientist, a businesswoman, and a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training. Each week in this podcast, you'll be entertained as you learn about a wide variety of relevant Reiki topics, helping you become a more knowledgeable and effective Reiki practitioner. We caution you, though, this podcast may also dramatically improve your life, and we are so happy that you're here. So welcome everyone to this week's podcast. I am talking with my teacher, my mentor, my friend, William Rand today. Welcome, William.
Oh, thank you.
It's so nice to have you here. And we're going to be talking about, actually, we're going to be doing a deep dive about the World Peace Grids. If you haven't heard of them, stay tuned. I think you'll really enjoy that. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that this week, my daughter and I start our Reiki business mentoring courses. So we have two courses, one for people just starting a business and one for people who want to grow their Reiki businesses. The end of the month, Tracy Sullivan and I will be teaching healthcare Reiki at her home in Connecticut, both online and in person. So consider joining us. And then in April, I have a full lineup of classes: Reiki 1 and 2 Masters, Animal 1 and 2 Masters, and Animal Communication all the way through till Masters. Would love to have you join us for any of those. William, you've got some really neat things coming up too. Do you want to tell people about them?
We've got our 7-day class. I co-teach it with Colleen Vanelli, 7 days long here on Maui. And so it's a half a day in the classroom and a half day going to beaches and waterfalls and hiking and in the mountains, everything. Yeah, Colleen and I have done this class quite a few times. So it's out here on Maui. And you would stay at a bed and breakfast close by and then come to class here. And then, like I say, we would go off hiking after class. It's really amazing because you're in class and you're doing things and things are coming up, you're processing, healing. Then you go on this hike. And then it just seems to me I'm with people and you can see they're still contemplating as they're walking along what had happened in class. And we go to beautiful locations.
And it is
So anyway,
beautiful.
we've got
I've
that one coming up.
Yeah, I was there in
Mhm.
January, William, and there's just something about the energy of Hawaii and of your home. And yeah, I highly
Mhm.
recommend. So you've got some
Yeah,
other
yeah,
great
thank you.
things too coming. You're going to be in Glastonbury this spring.
Yeah, Glastonbury, England. Now,
Mhm.
Glastonbury is a small village, but it has a history going back thousands of years as being a sacred place where people go for spiritual purposes. And there was a cathedral there, and that cathedral is now in ruins,
Yeah.
but the sacred energy is still there. And there are a lot of old buildings and hotels there that go back hundreds or even 1,000 years or more. And all around the village, there are power spots. There's something called the Tor, which is this very steep hill that goes up, and there's a tower at the top, and that is sacred and it's very powerful. And there are many other places. There are these two trees called Gog and Magog. They're oak trees that were planted a long time ago, and there used to be a procession of them going up to the Tor. And so that's a beautiful place to go. And there are so many other places all around there that are ancient sacred spots. So I teach there. And then we have the class in the Abbey Retreat House, which is a two-story old stone building. And then, like I say, I lead the class after on a hike all around Glastonbury. And the town is filled with they're like holistic vegetarian
Yeah.
restaurants and other and stores that sell metaphysical things. So it's devoted mainly to healing, metaphysics, but it goes back, like I say, probably well over 1,000 years.
It's a beautiful. That's where I studied with you the first time William, and
Mm.
had an incredible experience. I think the sacred wells, the chalice, and the those are
Yeah,
maybe my favorite spots, along with the tour. I hiked to the tour every morning and evening after and before the class. So, yeah.
yeah, those are close by too, sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
William, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
sure.
I've I usually in my class I talk about the World Peace Grids and of course the World Peace
Mhm.
Energy that came in for us back in 2022 was connected with these grids, but you have been
Yeah.
thinking of and working toward world peace for a very long time, William. I wonder if you could just take us back to the moment that the idea to create world peace grids first came to you. What were you thinking of? What was happening in your life and in your Reiki practice that made you think about that?
This is in the later 90s, and I heard about an artist. His name was Alex Gray, and he had gone to the North Pole to meditate. And I found out, I got his book and found out that he was in the New York City area, and I was going to be teaching there. So I called him and then he invited me to come to his studio. I went to his studio, and it was on the upper floor. And then he had all of this one amazing artwork there and everything. And so I talked with him about creating a painting for me. And so normally artists, once they become famous, don't do anything like that. They're always the ones that decide what they're going to do. But this was just before he became really famous. So he was very willing, yeah, very willing to work with me. And so I had this idea of we now call it the Temple of the Great Beaming Light. And I described it to him. So he did some sketches and drawings, and then I went back to my place, and then he would send these over, and I would talk on the phone saying, "Oh, make it a little bit different over here," and things like that. So then he came up with this nice sketch of what the artwork would be like, and then he went ahead and painted it, and it was a really amazing, wonderful painting. And so I have the original artwork at my place in Michigan, in Southfield. And then I do have a copy here. Then we made a print, and then now we made posters. So that's available from our website, the Temple of the Great Beaming Light. And so I got the idea from him. And then I thought maybe I could do that. And then I started thinking about it. And then, in fact, I was reading a National Geographic magazine, and in there was a story about this group that were going to go to the North Pole. I thought, oh, wow, that's fantastic. So then in there, the person's name was there. And so I found his phone number, called him, and his wife answered the phone and she said, "Oh, he's working on a dog study in the garage. You want to talk to him?" I go, "Yeah, sure." So I go, "Wow, can I get to talk to this guy?" So then I say, "Hey, can I go with you guys?" He goes, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all right." I go, "What?" He just said like that? Wait a minute. So then what he meant though is that there was actually a professional tour group that would take you to the North Pole. And
Wow.
that's what he was talking about. So he referred me to them, and so I called that organization and they said yes. And there's still some spaces left. And we're going to be going to the North Pole in May of 97. And so I got hooked up to do it. And then I started thinking, okay, that's cool. It's so cool. I'm going to go meditate there just like Alex Gray. Then I thought, this is a pretty significant trip. Maybe there's more than what I can do there. And I thought, I'll take a crystal there. That's it. I'll take a crystal. I'll leave it at the North Pole. So I thought, okay, that's cool. That's good. So then I thought, oh, maybe I could do something more than that. So I thought, oh, I know. I'll take 12 crystals. I'll hook them together with copper wire, and I'll take this whole thing there and put it at the North Pole. I thought, yeah, that's okay. That's cool. That's better. So then I knew an artist though that works with metal, and he had made this pendant for me, and he was really good at it. So I thought, hey, well, maybe go talk to him. And so I did, and then we started talking about it, and together we designed the World Peace Crystal Grid. And he made one, and it was in time before I was going to be going, and it's a beautiful. So there, this is actually one right
Right
there,
behind
if you can
you.
see it. Yeah, right
Yes.
behind me. And then also I have, this is a picture of the one at the North Pole. So this is it's actually the Peace Grid at the North Pole, laying on the snow. So I
Wow.
took this picture when I went up there and left it there. So you can see, let's see, I'll move it back a little bit. Let's see, it keeps moving a little bit. But you can see though, somehow this is auto adjusting or something. Let me see if I have another camera angle I've got here. Let's see what's, I don't know. Let's put that.
Oh, there
Oh,
you
oh, there we
go.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little better. Okay, so you can see that this is, it's about 12 inches wide or so. And it's an alloy. It's basically solid copper inside.
Yeah.
And then on top of that is nickel, like a heavy layer of nickel plating. The nickel is to prevent it from corroding
Mhm.
because copper would very easily be affected by salt water,
Right.
something like that. So it's got nickel plating. On top of that is 24 karat gold.
Wow.
Yeah, so this man was a Steve Burr is the artist's name, and he was saying that he had gone to the clairvoyant person and was told that he had made jewelry in past lives for the Pharaoh of Egypt and noble people and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so then we designed this together. So it's got 12 petals, and that is for the heart chakra. The heart chakra is has 12 petals. So that's what it's why we did 12, heart chakra. And then we got these are double terminated, naturally double terminated crystals. And
wow.
they're held in place with gold wire all the way around. So 12 of the crystals like that. In the middle is a special piece of quartz. I had a jeweler who worked with gemstones cut this quartz to a 12-sided pyramid, you might say. So each facet, a
Wow.
flat facet, is going out to each of the petals.
Yeah.
And then here are symbols for the major religions of the world, all the way around, and 12 of them. And we have one also that would represent all others that are not represented there. And then there's also one for independent spiritual paths. And then there's one for shamanism and things like that. So then the inscription is right here, and it says, "May the followers of all the world's religions and spiritual paths work together to create peace among all people on earth." So the idea is that we have all of these religions on the planet, and in the past, there were even religious wars. So you think about that, and but the idea is when the religions can make peace with each other, then peace will easily come to the world. And that's the basic idea. Yeah, so that's the peace grid.
I love that.
Do you have any questions around it?
I love that. I think maybe, William, now I'm curious, how did that trip go to the North Pole? Can you tell us all about taking that up to the North Pole? What happened?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, I had the peace grid, and then I was going to teach at Stonehenge. So I took it with me. I was able to make a special little box in my backpack. I took it with me all the way to England. And then I was teaching in Glastonbury, and also I had access to Stonehenge.
Wow.
So at that time, I was able to go into the stones at Stonehenge and in there teach. We had an hour or so. I would teach my part of my Reiki class there in the stones at Stonehenge. So I took that with me and I leaned it up against the stones. And then we also put it in the middle there and we were meditating with it and everything so that it would connect up with this ancient spiritual energy of Stonehenge. So Stonehenge it was a sacred spot and
Yeah.
where people came together to meditate and heal and do spiritual work. And I had the piece grid there to pick up the vibe of Stonehenge. So then I brought it back with me. I taught another class, a Karuna Reiki class in New York City, and I had it there with that class where everybody could charge it up. And then from there, I flew directly, let's see, to Windsor and then to Yellowknife and then to a place called Resolute. So Resolute is the most northerly commercial airport, but because it's so far up in the north, the runway is gravel.
Hmm.
So I say commercial, but it was not like a great big commercial airliner. It was a small plane, like a DC-3 or something. And so the plane also had retractable skis on the wheels. So
Wow.
that's because the runway might get snowed in. And so you could lower these skis and then the plane could land on the skis. So it could land on wheels or skis. So we went there and then landed, and I had the Peace Grid with me. Then we had to wait. So another plane, a smaller plane, was going to fly us to the North Pole. So we had to wait though for the weather. So this sort of thing is weather contingent. And so we went into another big building. And then at that time of year in May, the sun is up all the time, 24/7. It's just circling around in the sky. And for us to sleep, we would put aluminum foil over the windows to darken the room to sleep.
Wow.
And so we were waiting to go. And so what would happen then is out in the main room, then there was a circle. We'd sit around and talk and stuff. The people are going. And so we were talking, and then somebody, and of course the sun's up all the time. You don't have that the usual way of knowing what time it is by if it's light or dark out. And so someone said, "What time is it?" And then someone goes, "It's 3 a.m." We were just talking. No one knows what the sun is up all the time. You look out the window, it's always sunny. Of course, snow covers everything. It's extremely bright out there. And so it's at 3 a.m. We go to bed. And then there was another group of women that were going up there too. And so we got to talk with them. And so there was a special group just of women going. So anyway, finally it came time to go. And they said, okay, we're going. So then we had to be ready at a moment's notice. So get on the plane and then we take off. Plane takes off. And now up there are no roads, no towns, no villages. It's all snow and ice and mountains. And so we're flying and then you look out and you see this beautiful snow is there's no marks in it or anything. It's perfect snow and it's going up over ridges and up into the mountains and everything. We're flying along. And then what happened too is that they said the plane doesn't have enough fuel to make it to for the whole distance. And so they had taken out some of the seats of the plane and they had 55-gallon drums of fuel that were strapped in. So then and they
Wow.
said, they go, oh, that's very reassuring. So anyway, we flew up to a place called Tankery, which is also, it's a camp, and we landed there, and they had another structure, a building we got it to go into. Excuse me. First, we went to Eureka Weather Station. Sorry. Yeah, there's
Okay.
two places. We went to Eureka Weather Station. So this is a weather station. And so we land there, and then they take us in another vehicle over to where we're going to stay. And the front door is a freezer door, the walk-in freezers.
Yes.
So their front door was a standard with the same type of latch and everything because it's so cold. And the
Wow.
standard freezer door was their front door. And so that shows you how cold it is. So there at that time, it was summer, but it was 40 below zero. And
Wow.
then they also had coached me and they gave me this very heavy duty down jacket, super thick. And they made sure that we had the right clothing and everything. Also, I had mittens and so what we had was a wool glove, so I had fingers like that. Then there was a heavy duty mitten that went over it with fleece for insulation. And it came all the way up to here with a
Wow.
drawstring. And also that those mittens had a bungee cord that goes through up your sleeves across so that if you take off your mitten, it will hang down and you won't lose it because it's very windy there. You take off your mitten and accidentally drop it, it blows away. Now, as an example, if you're at the North Pole, it blows away, and then your hand freezes, and then they have to amputate it.
Oh my.
So, yeah, very important. That's why you got the bungee cord. You can take off the mitten and it just hangs there and doesn't, and then you put it back on. So they
Yes.
did it like that. And
Wow.
yeah, we went to Eureka Weather Station. Then we flew from there to Tankery. That was the other place I was telling you. That's even further up there. Now, in these different camps, you see these people, heavy duty explorers, and they're going on different expeditions and things like that. And these guys, they're just like very rugged looking people.
Wow.
And now what happened for me is that so we took off to go to the North Pole. And there was the guy in that the guy that I initially called that was going to the North Pole, he was on one of the expeditions. So we landed. What happened for them is that the I guess the ice was moving, and so they didn't make it to the North Pole. So we picked them up, the dogs and dog sled onto the plane. We took off and we go to the North Pole. Now then we start circling around, but you look out the window, it's all fog. And the guys were circling, and the guy says, "We can't land unless we can actually visually see the surface, because
Right.
there's nobody down there guiding us in or anything. We have to visually and see the surface." So then we turned around and came back.
Wow.
And I go, "Oh, wow." So then back to Eureka weather station. And so at that weather station, I talked to the dispatcher, and he says, "Now, don't worry. There's other flights going up there. I'll get you on another flight, but don't bother me. Don't bug me. Don't ask me, about it. But I'll get you. Well, you can hang here, stay here, and we'll get. There's another flight." So then, what happened was there was a man that walked to the North Pole and with the Saint Bernard, and so he was on an expedition. And his friends came up to be meet him up there. And so then the woman says to me, the dispatcher says, "Oh, yeah, there's this guy that walked up there with a St. Bernard. And by the way, this is the magnetic North Pole. Is that okay?" And I go, that is exactly where I want to go. So the other pole was the geographic,
Geographic.
which is the axis that the Earth is spinning around. And but this is the magnetic because my in my mind what I wanted was the magnetic field of the Earth to flow through the peace grid, and then the peace grid would polarize the magnetic field, the lines of force of the magnetic field for world peace. And she says, "Magnetic North Pole be okay?" I go, "That's actually exactly where I want to go."
I
And
didn't even know
yes,
there was a
so then
difference, William.
yeah, there is. There's the geographic, which is the axis the Earth is spinning on, and the magnetic is a little bit different. It's a little ways away from the geographic. But I said, yeah, that's actually, in fact, that's where I want to go. And by accident, I guess you'd say, then I did get to go to the magnetic North Pole. And the picture I showed you, that is the Peace Grid at the magnetic North Pole laying on the snow. So what I did also, I knew too that anything you leave there, I did some research on it, and the ice is maybe 10 or 12 feet thick, but then there's just ocean water under that. And anything you leave there at a certain time of year in July or so, the ice breaks up. Anything you leave there is going to float down to the bottom of the ocean. So the North Pole there's no landmass there at all. So I knew that. So what I did was I took a block of balsa wood, which is a light type of wood. They use it to make model airplanes and stuff, but very light wood as a float. And then I made a harness to go around it and around the peace grid. So when I left it there, then what I did was I had a trowel, so I dug a hole down into the snow. And the snow is so interesting. When you walk on it, it's very hard and you don't even leave a footprint. But if you have a trowel, you can easily dig down into it. So it's like almost like styrofoam or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I dug a hole down and then I placed the piece grid down in there. And then I took and carefully took the harness of, it was like strong nylon string, almost rope, that went around the float. And I laid that off like that. And then I took my final pictures and buried it there and left it there so that in July, when it breaks up, it would just gradually float down to the bottom of the ocean, which is actually 14,000 feet deep. So the
Wow.
ocean is 14,000 feet deep there. So you can imagine a metallic thing falling in, and then it would be tumbling and picking up speed and then crashing into the bottom. So I didn't want that. So I had the float system. So very gently it would float down to the bottom. I tested it also that it was just heavy enough that it would go down. So it would just gradually float down to the surface under the water at the North Pole. So I did that. And
Wow.
so then, and I said prayers and did Reiki and everything on it. And then it was time to go, got back on the plane and we're flying back. And I go, oh man, I did it. Oh, this is fantastic. It just felt so good. It's just, man, oh man, this is great. And then we're flying back, and then something in my mind says, it's not balanced. And I go, no, it's okay. It's good. Yeah, it's all right. I know what you're saying there, but it's okay. I got the North Pole. It's good. And then it says, William, it's not balanced. So I go, oh man, what are you saying here? So anyway, then I get back and I realize this is 97, and I'm thinking when I get older, if I don't take one to the South Pole too, I would really wish I had. So then
Right.
I called up the same group. The group was called Northwest Passage that went to the North Pole. And they said, oh yeah, there's another group that goes to the South Pole. So I called them and oh yeah, you can go to the South Pole too. And so they told me all about it and everything. So then, of course, it's much further. The distance from Michigan to the North Pole is not too far, but the South Pole is much further away. So then I got set up to go down there. So that was in December. Yeah, I went to the North Pole more. See, you go in the summer. So the summer is in December in the Southern Hemisphere.
Right.
That's a lot of people don't know that, but the summertime is at the first day of summer is December 21st.
Okay.
Whereas up in the Northern Hemisphere, first day of summer is June 21st. So it's completely opposite. So anyway, then what happened is I connected up with some people down there where I could teach classes and down in Brazil, because that's in South America. So I went down there and I went to Brasilia and then met some people that were gonna help work with me to teach a class, and I was gonna teach in, yeah, Brasilia. So then, but they knew about this other place called Alto Mauricio. They speak Portuguese there. It means high paradise. So we go there, and in Brazil, there are natural crystals everywhere. And then, let's see, there's a geode I want to show you. Oh, should I show you? Oh, that's not working. Is that, what happened? Oh, I got stuck.
You're
Hello,
frozen.
hello.
Yeah.
I know. Why did that freeze up? Let me try something here.
I wonder if you
If I
change
can,
your camera. There you are.
there we go.
I see
Okay.
you
All
again.
right. So there we go. Yeah. Anyway, let's see over here. See, that's a geode.
Yeah. Oh my
See,
gosh.
that looks like a,
That's
whoops, it's
huge.
shifted. Yeah, that's a geode. Yeah. There was a store there that sells these geodes. And they took me to that store. And this store was loaded with crystals and geodes. And it was like a supermarket. And they had row after row of these big geodes like that. And I talked with the people there, and they said, yeah, what you can do is choose the ones you want, and then we will pack it all up and ship it back to wherever you live. So I bought, I don't know how many, about five of them. Yeah, so then I got two here. I got the others are back in Michigan, my place in Southfield. So anyway, the geodes were amazing. And then we went to Alto Mauricio. Now, in this location, it is just spectacular. And this Alto Mauricio is a small village, and the people that live there, all of them have big quartz crystals on the roofs of their houses. And
Really?
there are crystals everywhere. And we go to this meditation. They said, let's go to the meditation dome. So we go there, we get out, and it's twilight, the sun's going down. We're walking, and I can feel my feet crunching on something. I look down, crystals. There's a path of the crystals to them are like gravel. And they
Wow.
have made a path of crystals for us to walk on to go to this meditation dome. So I was like, I go, really? This is, they go, yeah. And I said, where did you get all these crystals? He said, oh, we just raked them up from the property.
Wow.
So down there, crystals are everywhere. And then they took me to this crystal valley. It wasn't a big valley, but it was maybe 70 feet wide or something like that. And then in the stream, in the middle, there's a little stream, and there were all these crystals in the stream. Then we're walking down the valley, and we come around the corner, and it looks like a frozen waterfall of crystals. It was about, say, 10 feet wide, and like it was flowing down, but the crystals were all stuck together, and it was looked like going down like a flow of crystals coming out of the side of the canyon. And I thought,
Wow.
I never even knew anything like that was possible. So yeah, there was all these crystals, and you go over, some of them you could pull them off, and others were just they're all stuck together. They're crystals about that big, and they're all coming down like that. Yeah, that was absolutely spectacular. So I hung out there, had the Peace Grid with me, got it charged up with all the energies of that area. Then we flew to Santiago, Chile, from there down to Punta Arenas. Punta Arenas is at the tip of South America. And then we went to a place where there's a lot of people going down to the South Pole. So the South Pole is an actual continent, and it's covered with ice. And the ice is very thick. So it's like a mile thick,
Wow.
something like that. In fact, it's 2 miles thick. Anyway, we were waiting down there, and again, there were these people that were like very physically fit, explorers and stuff. And so we just hung out, we're talking and all that. So then we get on the plane. Now this plane was bigger. It was a C-130, quite a
Okay.
big aircraft, a propeller driven, had 4 engines and everything. We take off to go down there. So then we fly down to a place called Patriot Hills, and then those are mountains, a mountain range. And then we landed on the ice, and then they had a ski. It was a half-track vehicle came out to get us, and we went in that, and then we went over, and then they had tents that we were going to stay in. But it's at a 10,000 foot altitude, and that's all snow, ice and snow, 2 miles of ice. And so it's 10,000 feet high in altitude, and they had a semicircular building, not a tent really, a big one, and then we had small tents for us to stay in. And so they also gave us very thick sleeping bags. And we went to like the place I was going to stay, it was just a tent, and there's no heat. But the sun is up 24/7 going around in the sky like that. Because of the sunlight, the tents were heated, and they brought it up to freezing temperature, brought it up to 32 degrees. So the reason I know that is that I have my water bottle in there. Sometimes it started to freeze, and sometimes it's starting to thaw out. So I knew it was right around 32. So of course it's toasty warm, right? So anyway, but we had these huge, we had these very thick, big sleeping bags, like pure down. This is the highest quality you could imagine. And then at the top of it has a hood that goes over your head and everything. And then they gave me this super big down jacket, and I had the gloves and then the mittens and everything. And then they gave me special boots too. So these boots were quite thick, solid rubber, and they had inside fleece so that it keeps your feet warm too. And you have a big sock you put on and then put on the boot, and then it keeps your feet warm. So anyway, then we went back to this larger structure, was a tent, but like a semicircle. And in there, the only reason it was warm they had picnic tables and stuff in there. And so they did have a heater in there,
Yeah.
and that was to keep the moisture off or something like that. So anyway, there were picnic tables in this structure, and I went in there and I met this one guy. His name was Allen-LeBlanc, and he was from Austria. And so he spoke fairly good English, and I had my movie camera with me, my video camera. And so I asked him if I could interview him because he was an explorer. So I did. And he just tells this whole story, very easy to talk to, and about how when he was a boy, lived in Austria. His father took him to the mountains. He says, "Oh, the mountains were so amazing to me. And I loved them." And so then I guess he's been both to the North and South Pole, to Everest, and done all this mountain climbing and everything. So I interviewed him and asked him questions, and I recorded that. So that was pretty amazing also. And then like I say, though, every year, maybe I didn't say it, but every year there is 4 to 6 more inches of snow every single year.
Wow.
And then they took us out to this place where there had been a tent that slowly got covered up with ice. And so we had to go down, and inside there was a storage area. So it's
Wow.
under the ice.
Wow.
And yeah, quite amazing place. But then we were waiting and then we are going to go to the South Pole from there. But we had to wait till the right time. So we wait. So finally you say, okay, it's time. So we get in a plane, again, take off, and then flying down, we get to the South Pole, we land, and then I was told something like you will have 3 hours. That's all you have is 3 hours at the South Pole. So I
Okay.
got the Peace Grid. I think, how on earth will I do? I don't know what I'll do, but I'm just trusting. I don't know what I'll do, but I'm just trusting that something will work out. So at the South Pole, what they have is, like I say, the ice is 10,000 feet thick, so it's higher altitude. And then they have these different buildings. I don't know if people know what a geodesic dome is, but it's made of triangular pieces of
Yeah.
tubing that are all connected together to
Mhm.
create this like a shell. Well, I had that, and then inside there were built other buildings. So this dome kept the wind and snow off of the building inside. Then inside that, they had heated buildings. So then we could go in there and get meals and food. And at the South Pole, they had a barber pole with a chrome ball on it, and that was marking the South Pole. And then around there are these other structures, and there are scientific groups there from different countries. And then around the chrome ball on the barber pole, they have the flags of all the countries that have signed the peace treaty for Antarctica, because Antarctica is dedicated only for peaceful purposes. There are no military bases in Antarctica. And the flags are there that for all the countries that signed the peace treaty. So I thought, this is exactly right for a peace grid. So
Yes.
anyway, that was amazing. So then I set it up. It's like there's a chrome ball and a little pedestal around it. So I set the peace grid on it, and I stood back and someone took my picture. While I'm standing there, the peace grid slips off and goes, and it sticks in the snow. It's just standing up straight in the snow like that. I go, whoa, that is so cool. So, like I say, the snow is very hard and you can walk across it without making a mark, but actually it's somewhat like styrofoam. So the piece could just stuck right into it, mostly sticking up out of the ice. I saw that happen. So anyway, then we go into the geodesic dome, into the building. We have something to eat. And I'm still thinking, how will I do this? Now, I didn't tell anybody, but someone found out what I was going to probably do. But he didn't mention anything about that at all. But when he starts talking to me, he says, "Oh, all around here, people have dropped tools and nuts and bolts and off everything all around here. And if somebody had like a metal detector, they would find so many things out there. They would like if there was something out there, they wouldn't be able to find it." He did not mention my peace grid. He just says this. If there was something out there under the ice, no one would find it because there's so much metal and bolts and nuts. And he said there's even a whole airplane that they didn't pay any attention and that slowly the snow kept coming up. And then the plane, he said there's a whole airplane under the ice.
Oh my
So
goodness.
he tells me all this. Yeah, and he's saying all this, not mentioning anything about the peace grid, but telling me more
Yeah.
or less. He's saying in guarded words, he's saying, if you have that peace grid, you can go take it out there and bury it anywhere you want, and no one's going to find it. So I go, oh, okay, cool. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so then from there they say, okay, now we're going to go, but we got to wait in this warm-up shack first. So we go into this warm-up shack, and there's two other women there that have come on this thing too. And so we're in there, and it is not warm in the warm-up shack. So then we're waiting there and we're talking and stuff. And then the guy says, we'll just have to wait here a little bit. So then he comes back and he says, we're going to have to wait a little longer. And so during that time, I talked to the two women about Reiki, and so they're quite interested. But the guy keeps coming back and saying, just hang tight, just we're going to wait a little bit longer. And he keeps doing that for quite a while. And then finally he says, something's happened, and we're going to have to stay here for a few days. And
Oh,
we're going to set up tents and everything. And so there's a blizzard back at Patriot Hills where we have to go back. We can't go back there till the blizzard's over. It's going to be a few days. I go, ha ha ha. Okay. So then we pitched our tent on the other side of the runway, say runway. It was just a snow runway. And we're over there and but we get to cross the runway carefully and go into the other building that has meals and stuff. And then I start to think, what should I do? I'm going to have some time here. So then, based on what the guy said, I thought everybody, all these scientists would walk right by the South Pole. So I thought that's not a good place because someone would see me putting it there. And just so I thought I'm going to walk away a little ways away from the South Pole where I could still see it, that pole with the barber pole with the ball, chrome ball, and then out there I would leave it.
Yeah.
So then that's what I did. So I just went on a little walk by myself and out a ways, and then I had my trowel, and then what I did was I dropped it so it stuck in the snow, just like it did off of the barber pole there. And so then I got flat on my stomach and took a picture of it sticking up out of the snow. Then I had my trowel, I dug down in there, and then I just this with this one though, what I was told is that it's 10,000 feet altitude, and every year there's more snow going on top. And this is a glacier that's slowly moving. And so I calculated the rate of when it's moving and the distance, and I calculated it would be 250,000 years that it would break off in an iceberg and float off somewhere. I left it there. But that satisfied it, well, if peace doesn't come in 250,000 years, then, it's something it should be enough time. So,
I hope so.
so I left it there. Yeah, I left it there. And so then we get back on the plane, we fly back to Patriot Hills. Again, oh man, it's done. It's balanced. It's balanced now. At Patriot Hills, we waited, then we flew back to Houston, Texas. From there back to Michigan. Then I get back and I go, oh, done. It's all done. I got both poles. It's balanced. It's cool. It's good. It's so fantastic. And so then after that, what happened is I was teaching my classes in my home there in Southfield, Michigan, outside Detroit. And in one of my classes, someone comes from Jerusalem he wants to take the Reiki class 1 and 2. So he gets the class and he goes back to Israel. And then he calls me from Israel and he says, William, I'm wondering, would you like to come here to Israel and teach a Reiki class? I go, yes, I would. Yes, yes. So I go there and then he takes me, we teach in Tel Aviv,
Yes.
but then he has some free time. So he takes me all around and we go to the old city of Jerusalem. So there's the Jerusalem proper, but there's the old city. Old city is a 3,000-year-old city, and it has these huge walls. It's got a wall all the way around it. It's about a square mile or so. It's called the Old City of Jerusalem. And so there are these passageways that you can go through into the old city. So there's maybe 6 or 7 of these great big wooden doors that open up like that. So the walls are about 40 feet tall, and you can walk along the edge of them around the city. And inside this little old city of Jerusalem are different quarters. So there's a Muslim quarter, a Jewish quarter, an Armenian quarter, and a Christian quarter. So 4, they call them quarters. And so each group has their own section of the city. And so in there's something called the Dome of the Rock. And so there's this building that has a golden dome on it that actually was originally gold, solid gold. And then inside is the rock that Mohammed stood on before he ascended into heaven. So there's that.
Wow.
And then there's all these sacred places around there. And then outside of the wall, there is the Mount of Ascension where Jesus ascended into heaven. And then there's the Mount of Olives and things like that. So there's a lot of just very sacred places. And so we go there and we approach this old city and the energy was so powerful, it was tangible, like the purity of the light around that old city was just absolutely phenomenal. And then we go in, and then my sponsor, the guy that invited me there, knew somebody else, and he knew everybody there. So we go all around to all these sacred places in the old city, and it's just fantastic. And I'm thinking, wow, this would be fantastic for a peace grid. But how could I ever do this? I have no idea. How could I do it? I don't know. So then, anyway, so I teach there in Tel Aviv. And then also he took me to the Dead Sea and to Masada. So Masada is an old fort that the Jews stood off. The Romans attacked them, and the Jew there was this big fort there in ruins. And then there was the another sacred place I went. I'm trying to think of the name, but it was where Jesus supposedly had gone to, and I'll think of that name in a moment. But anyway, so then we're there, and then I come back to the U.S. And then when I ask him, I say, I would like to teach in the old city of Jerusalem. So he says, okay. So then he meets the guy that has this art gallery. He has an art gallery in the old city. So they go around looking for a place, a classroom for me to teach. And they don't find anywhere. They go back to the art gallery. They're drinking some tea. And then the owner of the art gallery says, hey, wait a minute. What about my art gallery? I could take the artwork and move it back, and there would be enough space here. Maybe he'd like to do it here in the art gallery in the old city. So then I get a phone call. And he says, we didn't find anywhere where we could do it, but what about an art gallery? As soon as he says that, my brain goes ding, the peace grid. So I'm thinking, it's an art gallery in the old city. I could leave the peace grid in the art gallery. It would be in the old city. So I
Right.
thought, wow, that is spectacular. So what I don't say anything to anybody about it, but I bring it with me. And so when I get there, and then there's a space for me to teach my class. I show the peace grid to the owner. His eyes light up. He says, that is exactly perfect. Because he said, in the old city, we've got these different religions, but we're all friendly. And so this is showing the friendship between all these different religions. This would be perfect. And so I taught my class there, and then he kept it, and then he put it up high on the wall in his art gallery. Then I had one in the old city of Jerusalem. Now, then I went back there and continued to teach every year classes right in the old city. And then he said he really liked it because then I let people know that there was one in the old city of Jerusalem. And so then he said, this brings people into my art gallery. So he really liked it.
I
I
love
taught
that.
there quite a few times. Yeah, went back and taught there. And then, yeah, there were many very amazing experiences in going around the old city and even outside of that, outside the walls, because this is the most sacred place for Judaism, Christianity, the Muslims, and the Armenians. And so there are people from all over the world, spiritual seekers, and all wearing their special religious clothing, like walking down these streets. And then the streets are very narrow, and there are people selling different things, like they're selling jewelry and pottery and different art objects and crystals and stones and all that. And so you go down, and the people are calling you, sir, come, let me show you what I have. And so you just have to ignore them. And sometimes you do go look, but the stones are so old that Jesus walked on those stones.
Wow.
So it's mesmerizing. It's just like intoxicating.
Yeah.
So anyway, you walk down these streets, and it's all ancient. Now, I don't know if you remember the old Indiana Jones movies,
Yeah.
where he's walking down those streets and stuff. It was exactly like Indiana Jones.
Wow.
And but it's real, absolutely real. And these places are thousands of years old, and they're all places where people are selling goods and things like that. And then there's religious people from all over the world in their religious clothing walking through there too. And then there was called a church there called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And this church was built over the place where the cross was supposedly where Jesus' cross stood, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And in there also, the energy is just phenomenal. And there's inside that, there's another place, another room, like you could go. Now, I was allowed to go in there, and I took the Peace Grid with me. And that was very sacred. And it was absolutely amazing to
What
be
year
there. It's
was
just,
what year was that, William? You went to the North Pole in 97 and the South Pole in 99. Was it 2003 that you were in Israel?
yeah, I think it was 2003. I think so.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a magazine with that in it. But yeah, so that was just amazing.
Wow.
And then, like I say, I went back there multiple times. And then there were so many really interesting people around there too. And people that were very spiritual and members of different religions and things like that.
That
It was
sounds
something.
incredible. And you had an opportunity to meditate at the Dead Sea, and you really had an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time there, didn't you, over the years?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I meditated at the, yeah, in fact, yeah, there's a place you could swim in the Dead Sea. I swam in the Dead Sea. Now, when you swim, the Dead Sea is so dense, has so much salt in it that you're sitting with your knees are up out of the water like that, and your back is up like this. You're sitting almost like you're sitting in a chair. And people have read newspapers while they're sitting in that water. So it was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Wow. You just float like
Mhm.
that, you mean, because it's so
Yeah,
dense.
you just naturally float. It's so dense. So there were places you could go and go more or less swimming, but you can't really swim like you normally would. You just float there. Yeah.
Wow. And I think you meditated in some of the, and saw some of the caves around the Dead Sea
Yeah,
where
where
the
the Dead Sea
ascents.
Scrolls had been placed. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was mentioning, that special place. Yeah, the Dead Sea, you could actually go to the same cave where the Dead Sea Scrolls had been placed and go into that cave. And there were other
Wow.
caves around there too. Yeah, yeah, that was one of the
Incredible.
very special places. And I had the Peace Grid, took it there all around to those places and everything. Hmm.
Now, William, we often hear about those peace grids, but what about the ones that you placed in Michigan and the one behind you in Hana, Hawaii? Did you have any special ceremonies around them? And what were you thinking when you
Well,
placed those ones?
yeah, so this one, that one, see, there's a man here who was a master carpenter. And so I had to make a frame, and then he
Mhm.
put black cloth, and then we mounted it there. So it's up there on the wall. So that is there, and it's held in place. There are rods that go through the wall with bolts on it, so it'd be very difficult for anyone to take it. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's up there. Yeah, so that, yeah, I did a ceremony when they put that one there. There's one in Southfield too. There's no frame there, but there are bolts going through the wall and to hold it right there in place very solidly on the wall. So there's one but that's where I have my classes too. So I teach my
Right,
classes there. So if you
right.
take a class here or in Southfield, then the Peace Grid is right there.
Yes, and
Mhm.
I've had an opportunity to meditate with you and at the Peace Grid in Hana, and it's a really special feeling to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, tell me, you were guided to make six of these, and I can remember in some earlier classes with you, you would sometimes mention that you had six, then the sixth one hadn't been placed yet. And I remember all the students would say, William, take it to my hometown. And
My,
all
my, Amy, no, take it back. I want you, yeah, my place. Yeah, I would always get that. That people would frantically be wanting me to place it because I had one in a safety deposit box back at the bank in Michigan. And
yes,
so I just had it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But yeah, people would say, "Oh no, my place, mine. Come bring it. I want." So
I
like
would
it
I
was
was a
just
witness to that.
yeah,
And in the
yeah.
end,
They just yeah.
yeah, and in the end, William, you had Lena Takahashi take it for you to Japan. Can you tell us that story?
Yes. Yeah, so then it dawned on me about Japan, Mount Kurama. So then, yeah, Lena and Monukai live there in Japan. They are fluent in Japanese and English. And they knew, like in the village of Kurama, That's where Mount Kurama is located. There's a village called Kurama. And in there's an inn, very old, and it's got a lot of rooms and stuff. And then, but they knew the woman that owned that inn, and she had been friends with the mother of the priest of the mountain.
Okay.
She has a very good connection with the priest on the mountain. And I'm remembering what had happened. So I mailed it over to her, so she had it. And so she brought it, and together we met the priest and showed him the peace grid because I wanted to be there at the same time. So then he said, mine. He actually did that. He didn't say that, but it was like his energy was that he wanted it. So then there's the main temple on Mount Kurama,
Mm.
and in the back there's a special room there where they have all of their sacred objects. And that's where they have placed it back there in this sacred room and on Mount Kurama. And so that's not too far from the top of the mountain. And so now when we go there, I go there to teach now on every year, and we use that little lodge at the base of the mountain for our classes, and people can stay there. And there's a little stream that runs right by, and constantly you hear the sound of this little stream running by. And then the entrance to Mount Kurama is only 1 block away, and there are a lot of interesting little shops and stuff around there. But we have access to the temples, and when we teach there, we have one or two of the temples we can teach in, but we also are able to, and also the priest often will give us the peace grid for our use while we're there. And then we'll go to the top of the mountain, and there's a place where the general public will go down this path where they have a shrine or something. They used to have a more going on there, but anyway, but over this little hill, there's a ridge. That's where we go. So nobody generally goes there, but it's right at the top though. And there are these great big cedar trees all growing around there. So that it's not like our own special place. So we go over the ridge and it's right near the top and no one can see us. So there we have our class. And people sit against the cedar trees and sit around in a circle. And we do our ignitions there, as many as we can. But we also have the lodge in case the rains or something, in case the weather is bad, we can continue with the class, but we plan it in conjunction with the weather so that we will teach on the mountain on the days when it's sunny and the weather is good. So the classes
Beautiful.
are both in the lodge at the base of the mountain, also on the mountain, even right at the top of the mountain. So we have at least one of the ignitions right at the top. And then we also give people a free day when they can go explore the mountain on their own. And then we have more organized days when we go up into the different temples and do things there or right at the top of the mountain.
It sounds like an incredible class, William. What year did the Peace Grid go there? It was only recently, was it not? Was it in 2022?
Gee, I'm trying to remember that. So this is 26. I thought it was 21.
Okay,
Anyway,
21 or
yeah.
22. Did you notice a
Yeah.
difference when the final one was placed? Did you notice a difference in the
Well,
energy?
it felt like it was all settled. So before that,
Mm,
it was a work in progress. When
yes.
that one was placed, and I have no other ones left, then it was like it's completion.
Mm,
And I'm not going to make any more. It feels like that project is complete. North and South Pole, Jerusalem, the center and South Hill Center here, and on Mount Kurama, it's
mhm.
pretty much completed. And so now we have pictures of all of them. You can go on our website and you can actually download the pictures. You can order these. This is a laminated picture of the one at the North Pole and use this. And so we have a special meditation that you can do with this and a special method of using this. So you could get one of these and get like at our art store, you get this art board like it's a rigid board, glue it down to that rigid board. Then you would go and get crystals to lay on top of each of these crystals, and then one for the center. And then what you would call our world peace crystal grid. You would have one. And then as you do this, you would take each of the individual little crystals. And so you've got a little crystal And you would, first of all, you purify your crystals by putting them in salt, like sea salt. Get a big bowl and put some sea salt in, put a crystal in, more sea salt, and that leaving them there for a number of days will purify the crystals and will pull out all the energies in the crystals, leaving them completely neutral. Then you would take each crystal, put it in your hand, and then you would draw the holy fire over it. And then, like in a prayer position like this, you would charge it with Reiki. And you do that separately with each of the crystals. And then you would play with them in terms of where each crystal would go on the peace grid. And then once you've got the right positions, you would take rubber cement and to hear some Elmer's rubber cement.
Yeah.
Ta-da! You take just a little tiny drop of it. Now, this glue is not very strong. And so if you put it on plastic or on a crystal, once it dries, you could actually just rub it and it rubs right off. So it's not going to harm anything. But you put a little drop of rubber cement and you glue the crystal down on top of one of the crystals here. So then you glue your crystals all down on all the crystals on this image, and you have one in the middle. And then, excuse me, you'd have a master crystal. Let's see. I guess I don't have a. You'd have one crystal that's longer and bigger. That would be your master crystal. You would charge that crystal, then you would take it over to your peace grid with your crystals on it, so that after you've charged each one individual, put them in place, you would then draw the holy fire symbol on the top of it, and then you would go around recharging, keeping all the crystals charged. And then the miraculous thing is that one of the things is you would put your photo underneath the central crystal. And so this grid is charged up with Reiki energy, with holy fire. And then anyone, because your picture is there, you will be naturally attuned to it, receiving blessings and healing no matter where you go. And then anyone whose photo or picture you put in your grid will get the same result. That person will receive Reiki all the time. So you could put a person's name on a piece of paper or their photograph anywhere. And then some people have put this on like an end table, and then they put photos underneath it too. Or they put it on another shelf on the end table. So then the idea is that you charge it up every day. And then at 7:30 on the middle Wednesday of each month, we do a world peace meditation. So everybody uses their peace grids or their cards, whatever they have. And then we charge up, we send Reiki to the peace grids for world peace. So this is a photo. So it's connected to the one at the North Pole, but also it's connected to the ones all over the world. So by sending Reiki to the peace grid and having your peace grid like that, then it's continually charging them up for world peace.
I love that. And so
So it's something you can do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll put a link because you can just print these out for free and you get a reminder
Yeah.
every month about the World
Mhm.
Peace Grid meditation. So I will put a link to that, or people can look it up just on reiki.org, World Peace Grid project, right?
Yeah, it's generally the middle, like you find what's the middle Wednesday of the month, like
Yeah.
on the between the 13th and the 16th or something like that. And what's the middle Wednesday? Whichever one is closest to that date, that's the date that we do our World Peace Crystal Grid meditation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even on our website, we list those dates.
Yep. And I
And
get a reminder every month for them.
yeah, if you
Mm.
want, you can be on our mailing list or email list, and we'll email you out and like when it's coming,
There's
the date and
40,000
everything.
people, I think you told me. There's 40,000 people that get the reminder every month, isn't there?
More than that.
More than that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's 400,000.
Oh,
So, yeah,
400,000.
400, yeah, yeah. And so that number is so high. I
Wow.
think it's like that's the number of people that requested that have sent in their emails, but it's so high. I think people did it more than one time.
No, I
Yeah,
think you can only do it once. So I think you've got 400,000 people sending Reiki every month
yeah,
to world peace.
something like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's astounding. Yeah, it's
It
astounding.
is.
Yeah, so we feel that's contributing to helping the planet move in a direction of peace whenever there's conflicts or wars or anything. And so one of the things to think about, I know people watch the news programs and everything, and they always will focus on the bad things that are happening in wars and stuff. But there's an author named Steven Pinker. He was a psychologist, and he wrote a book about this. And he thought, like everybody, that the things are getting worse and the things are not getting better at all. So he thought he was going to some scientific study on this to show how things are getting bad, worse and worse. So he did that, but he found out he was wrong. Completely opposite. Things are getting way better. What he came up with, one of the statistics is that in World War One and Two, 60 million people died in World War One and Two. Then he shows how many died in each of the wars after that, and you see the numbers going way down. And now, maybe I don't know what the number is now, but it's somewhere around 30,000 or something. And going from, or is it 60, did I say 60 million? Whatever.
Yes, you did.
60, yeah, 60 million people died. That's civilians and military died in World War One and Two. 60 million. Now we have maybe there's 20,000 or something. Try to say that's not a big number. It's still too
Way,
many,
still way too
but
big.
it's
Yeah.
gone from, yeah, it's gone from 60 million to only 20 or 30,000. So Steven Pinker, in his book, he explains this. Things are getting way better. Now, at the same time, though, the population of the Earth is going way up. And I think there was only a couple billion people on the Earth during World War One and Two. Now we have, what is it?
8 billion?
Is it 8 billion? Yeah, the population of the Earth is 4 times what it was during World War One and Two, but we have far fewer wars or people dying in war.
Yeah.
So this is a very good example that things are getting better. Now, one of the things that is interesting is that there, Mrs. Takata made her discovery of Reiki back in 1933, I think it was 34. So that's when, then World War II started right after that, and then it was over. So since Reiki started to be practiced on the planet, things have been getting better.
And you've written an article about that, William, about how, and I just will mention the name of that book is The Better Angels of Our Nature. You told me about that some
Yes.
time ago, and it's not a read, it's
Mhm.
800 pages or something like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty big book, yeah.
But
But
it's a good book.
it's data. It's actually
Mhm.
scientific. It's showing, how factually things are getting better.
That's right.
So, yeah, even though the population is 4 times greater than it was in World War One and Two, it's still getting better. So
It's
what's that
getting,
say? It says that people are actually getting along better, and the numbers of people are going down who die in war.
that's right.
So it's like completely different than what people think often. And so things are getting better. The
And I
planet's
think you
becoming a
did
better
an
place.
article to follow up on that, William, where you looked at in the 1990s when prior to that there were 22 Reiki masters in the world. And then afterward, when it was no longer $10,000 to get your Reiki master degree, and more Reiki masters existed on the planet, you noticed that it accelerated, I believe, that things started getting much
Yeah,
better. The more Reiki masters.
yes, absolutely. More people
Yeah.
practicing Reiki because so
Yeah.
many people are doing it just on themselves, on others, and also sending it for the whole planet. So
Yeah,
yeah, things are getting a lot better.
they are. And I'm going to
So
see,
I think,
I'll try to
yeah.
get those articles from Corey and I'll include them in the podcast notes.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's something to be aware of. There is optimism. And things are getting better, not worse. And so when you start to think along those lines, it just turns you right around. It's becoming more peaceful here. Well, this
right.
is good.
It is.
So we're not, yeah, because there have been some religious groups that say the end times, this is the end times. And then there's going to be this big war and all these people are going to die and everything. So they're always talking about the end times. But something about that I can tell you too,
Hmm.
that the end times already happened. There is a book about this idea that shows that when Constantine the Great, who was a Christian, invaded Rome and conquered Rome and took Rome from the Romans. The Romans were atheists, and then the Christians took over Rome and conquered Rome. It became Christian, and then Christianity spread all over the world. So that's what the Bible was talking about. So the Bible in the book of Revelations talks about the end times and all that, and Jesus was coming. It already happened. Jesus came. So Christianity spread all over the world. That's what the book of Revelations was about. It already happened.
Times.
So we can just what we're talking about. Peace is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And the end times already took place when Constantine the Great attacked Rome and won it for the Christians. And now the holiest place in Christendom is in Italy and for the Vatican. And
Where was Constantine from, William?
he
I
was
don't.
from Italy, I
He
believe.
was from Italy. Okay.
Constantine. Yeah, Constantine the Great. Yeah, it's quite interesting to read about him.
Yes, I
And
think I will check him out.
he converted to Christianity, and then with that, he used the power of Christianity, and he won the battle. And then from there, then Christianity spread all over the world. Now, that's not to say that the other religions aren't valid and they're useful and everything. But anyway, that story, though, that the Christians promote, the end times, it already happened a long time ago. There are no end times that are coming where the earth is going to be destroyed. And see, when you talk about how things are getting better, some of these Christians don't like that. They say, oh, no. Because, see, in order for Jesus to come in their mind and for their religious predictions to come true, things have to get worse and worse and worse. Then Jesus will come. He's not coming. He already came.
He already has been.
Yeah, that was when Christianity went all over the world. It
I just
already happened. There is no apocalypse. The apocalypse already happened a long time ago. We are now experiencing the world of peace that was prophesied in the Bible. We're in that world now.
I just was looking and I did a quick search and Constantine is from Nice in Serbia, is where he had
Oh,
come from, which
I see.
so I'm going
Okay.
to have to read about that. William, tell me something. I remember hearing that in 2022, when the world peace energy came through, one of the reasons that it came through to you and to Colleen was because of your efforts with the World Peace Grids. Can you tell us a little bit about that energy and about what you learned with it connected to the World Peace Grids?
I was here when that happened. And then that's when I think the Russians attacked Ukraine. And then I was getting there's some type of special energy for this problem. And then the inklings of this started to develop. I was talking with Colleen. And as time went by, then it started to crystallize, become more definite. And then we realized, oh, a new type of Reiki is coming in, World Peace Reiki.
And tell us a little bit about
So,
that, if you would.
so let's see. It's just that as it developed, it took a few months for it to fully unfold. And then I would talk about it, and I would talk to Colleen about it, and it would just gradually get stronger. And then we realized, oh, there's a new energy coming, and it's for world peace. And
Yeah.
then with Colleen, then we channeled the world, then the spiritual beings, the brothers and sisters of light, brought in the world peace energy for us. So creating world peace Reiki.
One of the things I find about this energy is that regardless of what's happening in the world, I'm able, and even around me in my environment, I'm able to remain very peaceful in my own self.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
that's the idea that as we become more peaceful, that helps other people to be peaceful too. And so the idea is rather than having to sacrifice our lives to help the world, It's the other way around, that we need to become peaceful and happy and content and healed and live really good lives. And that's going to help everybody else. So it's not a sacrifice that we make to bring world peace. It's like we're the ones that are the leaders. So we're
Mm.
bringing peace into our lives, and our lives are going really well. And then that will spread to others. So it's a very positive thing.
That makes a lot of sense, William. Is there anything you'd the listeners to know before we move into a meditation today?
I could say something about the pendant,
Yes, sure.
the Reiki pendant. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're just coming out with this. And this is what it looks like. Let's see if I can.
there it is. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the Reiki pendant. It's got the green stone at the top there, and it's the color of gold. It's not gold. If we made it out of pure gold, it'd be really expensive. These are now available on our website. If you go to reiki.org, you'll see the pendant there at the top, and you can buy them. You can get them, and they already has a natural type of Reiki energy in it already. But then you can actually give it Reiki and you wear it around your neck like that. You can get a chain. And then it infuses your whole being with Reiki energy, with peace and harmony. And then what happens is also people will see it. And if people don't know what Reiki is, they'll say, well, that's so pretty. What is that? So then you go, oh, that's the symbol for Reiki. And they go, well, what's that? Then see, it opens the door for you to be able to talk about your Reiki practice. And so it's very healing and very beneficial for you. And then also it works in your favor if people are curious about it. It opens the door for you to talk about Reiki. So this is available. Just started to be available now. If you go to our website, reiki.org, you'll see it up there at the top. And if you're so inclined, you can order one.
I
And
have
so we're just
one.
starting to,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have one and I
Mhm.
love it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, in fact, I'm normally wearing it, but I broke the chain, so I have to go get a new chain.
Oh, oh, that's too bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
I'm planning to do that very soon, William.
Good. Okay, yeah. As I was saying, this is a camera facing out from the front of my house, and there's the ocean, and it's a little windy today, as you can see. And the reddish plants there are called Hawaiian tea plants. And they actually it's a hybrid that was developed here in Hana, where I live. And those are the treetops and then go down to the ocean. So anyway, this is where the center is in Hana, in Maui.
Beautiful.
Okay, very
Mm.
good. What I'll do is I'll come back to my picture. Yeah, there we go.
There.
Okay, yeah, I would like to, like you said, I can do a guided meditation. This will be a special meditation for world peace. And so I just like everybody to take a moment to relax. You could be seated or you could be laying down. You can even change your position during the meditation if you'd like to. And take a deep breath and close your eyes. And in this meditation, I'm going to be talking for a short time and then I'm going to stop talking. Now, during the time that I'm not talking, then the energy itself will be working directly with you. This is a type of meditation where I get things going and going in the right direction, and then I stop talking. And that's so that the holy fire energy can come directly with you and work directly with you. So I just get out of the way. Just imagine it's a very beautiful day, and you're outdoors, you're barefoot, and you're walking through a beautiful forest. And just imagine that you can feel the presence of the plants and flowers and trees and bushes and grass, all the living things around you. And as you breathe into yourself, you're actually breathing in the life essence of the forest. And with each step that you take, Just imagine you can feel the energies of the earth flowing up through the bottoms of your feet. And as you're walking down the path through the forest, you notice, oh, there's another path going off to the left, and you wonder, where does this path go? So just imagine taking the path to the left, and you notice right away, oh, it's going uphill. And yet you feel very strong, and easily you climb uphill through the forest, going up higher and higher, and then it levels off, and oh, you're entering a meadow. And walking across the meadow up ahead, there's a small hill, and you go up and walk up to the top of the hill, and there's some soft grass there. And it looks like a very nice place to lay down in the soft grass. So go ahead and imagine laying down there. It's very safe here. It's a beautiful place. And as you lay down, you take another really deep breath. And you begin to gaze overhead. And you notice overhead there's a beautiful white puffy cloud. It's a wonderful cloud. And you begin to look at the cloud. It seems to have some type of special energy. And as you're gazing at the cloud, you notice that in the middle of the cloud, the wind is swirling around. And oh, it's opening up something in the cloud. And oh, a beautiful beam of light shines down through the cloud now. And this is no ordinary light. This light is coming down from the highest spiritual source. It's a wonderful light. It shines all around you now. And it even feels like the light is shining right through you. This is a wonderful light. It's filled with healing energies, very kind and loving. It knows exactly what you need to be very deeply healed and supplies all of these wonderful, beautiful energies for you now, entering very deeply into your being and healing very deeply. It's coming down from the highest spiritual source. A very deep blessing just for you. And you begin to gaze up into the light, and you realize, oh, the light is calling you. And now actually you begin to feel as though you're rising up into the light itself. And you're going up higher and higher into the light. And the light begins to guide you now. Allow yourself to be guided by the light. You can continue with your experience as long as you feel guided to do so. And whenever you're ready, take a couple of deep breaths. Bring your awareness to your eyes. And then slowly open your eyes and come back. And if you'd like to, you could write down some of your experiences about what happened for you.
William, thank you so much for this meditation and for this conversation. I learned a lot today about the World Peace
Oh, good.
Grids. Yeah, I feel like I
Yeah.
know them so much better. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
And just to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in with William and I. We appreciate you. We hope you have a beautiful week, and we look forward to seeing you again. So until next time, namaste.